Hi guys! Welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Professor Elsie Muñoz Cabral from the Central Luzon College of Science and Technology, CELTEC, Olongapo City Campus. And for today, we shall be discussing about the different sociological perspective of the self, that is the self as a product of the society. Why is there a need for us to understand the self? In Chapter 1, we mentioned that self-awareness is important because when we have a better understanding of ourselves, we are able to experience ourselves as a unique and separate individual. What is the self? We also learned that first, the self is separate. The self is always unique and has its own identity. One cannot be another person. Even twins are distinct from one another. Second, the self is independent. It does not require any other self for it to exist. Third, self is consistent. Its consistency allows it to be studied, described, and to be measured. Fourth, self is unitary. It is like the chief command post in an individual where all processes, emotions, and thoughts converge. And fifth, self is private. Each person sorts out information, feelings, emotions, and thought processes within the self. This whole process is never accessible to anyone but the self. For our first activity, we shall call this as a myself through the years challenge. And here's the mechanics. First, take your best photo in your photo album or your mom's photo album. Meron pa ba? And label it with elementary self, high school self, and college self. Now list down the salient points, be it internal or external. And under each category, you will place in the first column similarities of the stages in your life. Find out the similarities in these pictures: elementary, high school, or college days. Next column would be the differences in yourself across the three stages of your life. And the last column will be for the possible reasons for the differences that you can see from these pictures. Again, it's called
Hashtag
myself
myself
through the
years
years
challenge.
challenge. So what is the sociological perspective? The basic insight of sociology is that human behavior is shaped by the groups to which people belong and by the social interaction that takes place within these groups. The sociological
Sociological
perspective
perspective
invites
of the
us to
self.
look at our familiar surroundings in a fresh way. What is sociology? Sociology is defined as the study of social life, social change, and the social causes and consequences of human behavior. Sa Tagalog po, ang pag-agham na pag-aaral ng lipunang ng tao at mga pinagmulan nito, pag-unlad, mga organisasyon, at mga institusyon, kung saan kasama po ito sa paghuhubog ng isang tao. Ang lipunan o the society ay grupo ng mga tao na nagsasama-sama at naghahati-hati sa isang teritoryo ng Pilipinas, at may sinusunod na batas at regulasyon dito sa ating bansa. I have included 3 sociologists in our lesson. Our first sociologist is George Herbert Mead, wherein he said that the self is not biological but social. The self does not depend on biological predisposition. Rather, George Mead said that it is a product of social interaction. Mead also mentioned about the 3 stages of development. First, imitation or preparatory stage. Second is the play stage, and the third is the game stage. In the imitation stage, the child imitates a behavior like sweeping the floor. In the play stage, the child may act as a teacher, as a carpenter, as a driver, or a cook, or a chef. And in the game stage, the child now come to see at the perspective of other people. That's why some people will say, oh, that bata, no, ang batang yan ay mahusay. No? That boy or that child is brilliant. So the child come to see at the perspective of the other people. Maybe here, there are already rules set. Mead also mentions about the three phases of the self. That is the I self, the me self, and the generalized other. In the I stage or self, Mead mentioned that the I self is unsocialized and spontaneous. It is the response of the organism to the attitude of the others. In the me self, Mead said that it is the organization of the internalized attitude of others. It is the socialized aspect of the individual. And for the generalized other, this is the best known concept of Mead, wherein this is described as the organized community or the social group. What are the different agents of socialization? We know for a fact that humans learn the expectation of the society. The first agent of socialization is, of course, the family, which is considered as the smallest unit of the society. Here, the children are introduced to the expectation of the society. For children, the family is the most important context because its major function is the socialization and care of children. Next is the media, wherein according to the data, children ages 8 to 12 years old spend 6 and 3/4 hours per day on social media. I know, kasama kayo dito. And the third are the peers. Having friends and feeling connected to a group gives teenagers a sense of belonging and being valued at that. Fourth agent of socialization is religion. Depending on where we live, religion may make us feel good about ourselves by making us a part of the larger or bigger culture. And last is education or the school. Now, our next sociologist is Charles Horton Cooney. And Charles Horton Cooney is best known for his looking glass self theory. What is a looking glass self? Looking glass self is a social psychological concept wherein the self is developed as a result of one's perception of other people's or person's opinions. So looking glass self is more of a mirror for perceiving ourselves subjectively. It would be given a critical if given unfavorable or negative remarks. That's why tayo mismo, no, hindi tayo makamove on kung binibigyan tayo o kinikriticize tayo ng ibang tao. We always wanted to have these positive remarks. If it is negative, parang natiturn daw tayo. So, self-identity or self-image. First, how do I appear to others? How do I look? How you present to others? Second, what others think of you? What others think of me? So, meaning, how others perceive of us. And third, how we think of ourselves, how we make an impact to other people. Cooley's looking glass self is described as our reflection of how we think we appear to others. So, kay Cooley, ang kanyang best theory ay looking glass self. Our last sociologist is Irving Goffman and his theory of social interaction. Theory of social interaction refers to as the dramaturgical model of social life, meaning it may be likened to a theater and people in everyday life to actors at a stage. I remember Shakespeare in one of his writings. He mentioned that the world is but a stage, or the world is like a stage. And we living on earth are the actors and actresses. Who you are, that's your role. Goffman was the 73rd president of the American Sociological Association, and his best-known contribution to social theory is his study of symbolic interaction. So, that is it. 3 sociologists and their different perception or different sociological perception of the self. Once again, this is me, Ma'am Si Cabral, saying maraming salamat po hanggang sa susunod nating lesson. At ang susunod po ay psychological perspective of the self na. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.